Ahoy there, I'm Pandabander. Welcome to the Pariahborn Wolf Universal Werewolf PvP build video. This is a non-class specific PvP build for Werewolf for update 35 that works in both CP and no CP campaigns. This is a build that leverages a tank and damage set to really turn the tables on a fight just when your enemies think they've got you dead to rights. But enough of that, let's dive into the build. For this build, I'm using an Imperial Sorcerer. I chose this particular combination for the health, stamina, and cost reduction passives offered by Imperials, and the damage passives offered by the Sorcerer class. However, this build can and will work on nearly any class and race combinations. I'm using a loadout of 40 points into health and 24 into stamina, and using the Jewels of Misrule for my food buff. You can also use the Orzaga's Bear Haunch, though the very slight benefits of that food don't outweigh the difference in cost for me. Finally, for my Mundus, I'm using the Warrior. This will allow me to get that extra bit of punch in when the time comes to swap to playing offensively. If you are using spell damage as your enchant on your jewelry, you should be using the Apprentice instead. Now, for gear, the first set that I'm using is the Titanborn Strength set. This is a staple set for PvP as it gives both weapon damage and penetration on its 5-piece bonus, both of which get stronger as my health gets lower. At or below 50% health, this meager 100 or so weapon damage and 1200 or so penetration quadruples to more than 400 weapon damage and nearly 5000 penetration, allowing me to start hitting incredibly hard right as people think I'm done. For this build, I am using a sharpened maul, a swift neck, and well-fitted gloves and belt. You can also use a sword and board setup instead of the maul for some additional survivability. This set can be found in the Ice Reach dungeon. The next set is the Mark of the Pariah. This is our defensive set and one that complements our damage set incredibly well. With a line of max health and 2 lines of armor, it's already well suited for survivability, but it's the 5-piece bonus that enables us. The lower our health goes, the higher our resistances get, increasing our resistances by nearly 8,000 as we approach death. This means we will become more survivable right as our damage reaches its peak. For this build, I am using the Pariah chest and reinforced, an infused Pariah ring, and the shoulders, legs, and boots and well fitted. This is an overland set and can be found in the Rothgar zone or off of Guild Traders. The build is also using a single piece of Magma Incarnate to boost my recoveries. This is a monster set found in the Dread Cellar, although there is also the Baron Thursk monster set to achieve the same results and is easily acquired off the Baron Thursk boss in Imperial City. Finally, for my mythic, I am using the Oaken Soul ring with the infused trait. As a werewolf in PvP, this supplies me with all 3 minor recoveries, minor berserk, minor protection, minor mending, and minor force, giving me 15% extra recoveries, 5% extra damage, 5% damage mitigation, 8% more healing done, and 10% more critical damage. All armor pieces are using the Tri-Stat enchant, and all jewelry pieces are using either a weapon or spell damage enchant. The choice of whether to use weapon or spell damage is up to you, and your expected self-buffs or buffs provided by other players. If you expect to run with Dragon Knights, use weapon damage. For Templars, use spell damage. I'm using the following set of abilities for this build. Brutal Pounce for the AoE damage and bleed, Claws of Life for the healing return provided, enabling me to maintain my health around 50 to 75% easier, Howl of Agony as my single target spammable, Hircine's Fortitude for my heal, and Deafening Roar for my AoE fear. Finally, this build uses the Pack Leader morph of Werewolf for the damage mitigation provided by it. This is especially important for staying alive while maintaining my max Titanborn stats. Finally, champion points. In the blue CP tree, I'm using the Focused Mending, Master at Arms, Deadly Aim, and Resilience Slottables. Focused Mending improves my healing by 10%, affecting both the Hircine's Fortitude heal and the return from Claws of Life. Master at Arms gives me a boost to all of my direct damage, and Resilience improves my critical resistance, which is particularly important when playing games with my health level. Resilience in this build is optional and can be swapped for Ironclad or Duelist Tree Buff for more general damage reduction. In the red tree, I'm using the Survival Instincts, Sustained by Suffering, Pain's Refuge, and Celerity Slottables. Each of these provides an important boon to the build, with Survival Instincts reducing the cost of my core combat abilities by 25% when affected by a status effect, Sustained by Suffering giving me a significant amount of recoveries while affected by a negative effect, Pains of Refuge giving me some significant damage reduction as negative effects stack up on me, and Celerity giving me movement speed, which is survivability in PvP as much as quality of life. The Slippery and Refreshing Stride CP Slottables are also good options to slot in to give Break Freeze and increase magic and recovery while sprinting. Play around with these and see what fits your playstyle best. This build relies on smart play and quick reactions to maximize your damage output. Because of the way our damage and survivability increases as our health gets lower, it's actually in our best interest to not keep our health full in most situations. This does open us up for the possibility of being taken by surprise though, and your combat awareness will play a large part in keeping that from happening. Ideally, throughout the fight, I try to keep my health between the 50 and 75% marks, giving me half the damage and penetration of the sub 50% mark, then punishing people when they attempt to go for the kill and drop me below 50%. This will typically result in a target swapping to defensive play, enabling me to continue my offensive until either they die or stabilize and I heal back up over 50%. This build is a lot of fun and works well in all sorts of situations, from 1v1 to 1vx, and can dish out some tremendous punishment, particularly as you play it and become more comfortable with using your health as a damage resource. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons below it, and don't forget to hit the alerts button as well to be notified whenever new content comes out.